So welcome to IBC 2018. We're at the Adobe booth together with Patrick, the product manager for Premiere Pro, and we're going to take a closer look at everything video from Adobe.
That's right. We reveal what's coming to Creative Cloud Video in the coming weeks or month, and we're showing lots of tools across the board for Premiere, After Effects, Audition, Character Animator, and Media Encoder.
Red Shark at IBC 2018 is brought to you by Adobe!
Blackmagic Design.
Okay, so Patrick, take me through what's new for this year, and maybe talk about themes, because obviously you released a whole new bunch of features, so it might be easier to go into like a theme-based.
So one of the big themes for this particular release is performance. So obviously, you know, time is precious, and sometimes you can solve a problem by having a better tool available that lets you work faster. We've got those too, but sometimes it's just about pure performance in something like H.264, HEVC playback or rendering. So we're broadening the range of supported hardware for that. We're also still tweaking the algorithms for that. So if you're on such formats, then this update is going to be really cool. It's also true that some of the tools that people use a lot, we're taking a closer look at those and try to get performance to a higher level. Good example would be the expressions engine in After Effects. That's up to 8 times faster now. Pretty cool. On Lumetri on both After Effects and Premiere Pro, we're up to 2 times faster now on most platforms. Another thing that's absolutely fantastic is the audio engine Audition. That's really been refined and tuned to perfection. Haha, no pun intended. So you can now record on a workstation just, you know, with fast everything, no dedicated hardware, fast SSD, good amount of RAM, etc. You can playback up to 120 streams, but you can also record up to 32 tracks, and that's pretty awesome for something that doesn't have a dedicated rack next to it.
That's amazing. So diving into that more, I saw that you also, on the Premiere side, you did something with the Lumetri tool. You just mentioned that. So what's new in that?
So we noticed a couple of things. Earlier this year, we introduced workflow tools like the split screen straight in the program monitor, like the face detection combined with shot matching to let you work faster. That's an area where really you can get the speed just by deploying a better tool. But then, as it is getting a really rich workflow inside the editor, a lot of people are looking for something that lets you work faster on something like selective color grading, and secondaries aren't always the answer. So we took a look at curves that have been around for a very long time. There's a reason why they weren't in Premiere Pro so far. We couldn't come up with a design that is friendly enough for people who are not full-time colorists. And this cycle, we felt confident that we found the solution. So if you look at the design, it does actually 2 things that are a bit out of the norm for what people have seen for so long. A, you can actually slide around what's the center of focus in your horizontal layout on the hue band, and that's lovely if you think of where the reds sit, which is more often than not, that's the part that you want to tweak, right? But it sits annoyingly towards the edges, so you can freely slide around your center and just put in the middle of the band what you need to tweak, and then it gets better. On the hue to something curves, we've got 3 of them, right? It's hue to saturation, hue to hue. If you have, and the third one helped me out on that. Luminance? Yes, that's right, yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
First interview of the show now, I already forgot one.
That's fine.
So, and then there's, just for completeness sake, there's luma to saturation, saturation to saturation. It's really all 5 traditional ones, but the cool thing about the vertical indicator is it's telling you where it's going. And that's great for beginners because you're no longer in that blind spot as to, ooh, what is going on here? You'll see where it's going, and for experts it's also great because each curve now has an individual touch, so you can see clearly what it's doing relative to the other. Pretty cool stuff.
That's amazing. Then another thing you kind of teased it already. It's now has a more dedicated stand here. So Project Rush, tell me more about that. Where did this come from?
Yeah, so we're showing it here at IBC for the first time. We revealed Project Rush earlier this year at VidCon. For those who haven't heard about Project Rush yet, it's a pretty exciting thing for us as an extension to the video product lineup. So if you look at what a lot of people do today, let me see, there's a lot of social content, there's a lot of what we now call, simply put, online content. And that's a widespread thing in itself, but one thing is in common for most people working in that particular field. They're not full-time editors, They're certainly not full-time motion graphics artists. They're not full-time. They're not full-time on anything but producing that actual piece of content, usually not with a lot of help. So we looked at that and looked at where these people usually would work. So we're bringing a product that works across multiple devices. So you can start on a phone, pick things up on a tablet, an iPad for example, and then continue on the desktop. But you'll be able to finish, and that's pretty nice about the entire setup. You can finish on either one of them. You don't need to swap. It's just an opportunity if you want to dig deeper on a larger surface or see what it looks like, simply put, on a different surface. That's kind of nice too. But even better, it even connects on the back end with everything on the pro end. So it actually has motion graphics templates that you can design in After Effects, craft carefully, have that special lush, super cool look. All you need to do in Rush is just type whatever you need to do in terms of making it fit to the content that you're producing, but you'll stay on brand, you'll have something that looks highly professional, and it will output to all of the social outlets just really in a jiffy. So it's a pretty slick workflow that lets you create a lot more content a lot faster, and it will look professional without you being the expert in all of those areas.
All right, so tell me a bit more about the audio cleanup tool that's now.
You might be using that for this very interview because it's really cool and useful every day. So we've had something in the Essential Sound panels. It's actually two, one in Audition, one in Premiere, even though, well, they're the same, but they're connected, right? That's an important thing about that workflow. You can go and dig in deeper with Audition anytime. That's a cool thing in general. But we've noticed that one tool in particular we've seen complaints about, which was the noise reducer. So the adaptive noise reducer worked great on anything that had a lot of, footage before and after the cut, but it had a little bit of a gating problem when it was basically, oh, I need to use the start to finish. So we looked into that, we actually completely replaced it instead of just making it a little bit better. So the new one is a real-time adaptive thing that is just magic. So not only is it very clean, but it doesn't have any of the gating problems, it works on any kind of content, so it's a beautiful addition, but even better, it's a drop-in replacement. So it will actually work on existing projects. You can just use the same one slider logic, doing all kinds of crazy in the background, which is lovely. But even better, there's kind of the holy grail in terms of dealing with original recordings, which is, dealing with the reverb.
Yeah.
How are you going to deal with that? Because it's so woven into the recording. It's hard to take that out manually by all means, right? Even an audio expert has trouble doing so. We now have an algorithm that does that really well to save a recording that otherwise you couldn't be using, or to make something that's already pretty good, really good. So you're going from good to great with that tool. Will it save everything? Probably not, but you'll save enough recordings that otherwise you'd need to redo, so it's a huge time saver there as well.
That's great. And then the other thing is the character animator, right?
My favorite part of the conversation. Really it is.
Yeah. So you showed something last year.
Yeah. So Character Animator as a product has been out now for a year or so, but we sneaked something. We always do at the Max conference, at our creativity conference in the fall. We sneaked something that created huge excitement, which is you could actually just basically characterize your face by just basically talking into camera and the microphone and just, cringing, smiling, whatever we're asking you to do, and then transform that onto any kind of artwork that you like. So if you want to turn it to Rembrandt, that is something that we sneaked last year. If you wanted to be, grandpa on the wall in the frame. So all of those things are now possible. You can set up what we call a puppet in Character Animator within minutes by basically characterizing your own face and then adding any kind of artwork. The cool thing is once you've done yourself, you can put artwork on top of it like crazy. You can create different styles just basically really by pushing a picture on top of it and then breathe live into that.
That's amazing. And how is that powered? Is that an AI thing?
That's absolutely AI powered. So a lot of it has to relate to indeed how to characterize all the things that are happening when we speak and make that actually seem natural. It's a very interesting thing. You want to stylize that later, but to get there, you really have to understand facial expressions in all of its subtleness to begin with. You can take out things later and just make them almost cartoonish, but you have to have the real deal first, and that's what's really special about it. A lot of machine learning tech is feeding into that, which is why, even to me, it's amazing that we were able to productize this within a year's time. So there's a huge difference between being able to demo something and making it productive as a day-to-day functional tool.
We're really looking forward to seeing that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bas.
Cheers.
Cheers.
If you don't want to miss anything from IBC 2018, then make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Come on, hit that button.